call PG&E. They come out and mark the line for you, but they do it once and you don't know where it is. And so when we're building this house, I'm flying my drone up and taking pictures. I'm rolling around. I'm like, there's no way in the world I'm ever going to know that these pipes run from here to here and these pipes underground. And so I started taking pictures and tried to map it. You'd think you could just go into Google Maps and draw some lines and this thing would be solved. And sure enough, it's not. There's really no tool out there today that allows you to map out your property. It was one of those, how does this not exist? I'm going to build it for myself, and then start sharing it with my friends and neighbors. And
yes, this is the Mark Haney Show. We are on a mission to ignite the entrepreneurial revolution right here in the hometown we love, and we do that by building the Backyard Advantage, the most connected community in the world for local entrepreneurs. And it's based around this culture of love, and not just the fuzzy feeling you get. That's part of it. It's really more about helping each other, right? Showing love to one another, love the verb. And we do that by inspiring one another. We do that by picking each other up when we're down. And we do that a lot of times by connecting each other in ways that help them win. We call it engineering wins. That's a really big piece of that. So today you're going to be a little bit educated in a way, because you're going to be hearing from an entrepreneur that's got this vast wealth of experience in building companies, selling companies, and then starting them again. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But you're also, I think, going to be inspired because, you know, even if you have this big success story, you know what? A lot of people sort of think, is that all there is? And we have proof today that it's not all there is. You can have a lot of success and then you go on to do it again and again. With me today, I'm really proud to have my good buddy Arik Levy. He is the founder and CEO of YardPro. He is also an investor into a lot of startups. He's got his own venture fund that's focused on lockers, because he built some significant companies in the locker space. So we'll get into all that. But first of all, let me just stop talking and welcome you to the show. So how you doing, Arik?
Awesome, Mark. Thanks for having me. Really, really fun to be on the show again.
You bet. Now, you built a significant locker company and sold it to a multi-billion-dollar company and had a spectacular exit. And I sort of wonder, because I've had a couple of nice little exits too, but you're a young man still, and what did that feel like to wonder what you're going to do next? You're not you didn't sail off into the sunset and retire.
Yeah, well, not so young, but still not too old to be out there still trying to create and build things. So, yeah, I mean, obviously selling your business is incredible. It wasn't actually something I was expecting to do or even trying to do when we landed up selling the company. And so it was very unexpected and sort of just kind of, okay, you're on this roller coaster every day. You're getting up at, 6 a.m, just working your butt off as hard as you can to build something great. And then you built it and you succeed and you won. And so it's sort of like, okay, wait, now my life has been, flipped upside down. You've got a bunch of money. So you've got this money that you now need to invest, going from pretty much being broke every day to, now you've got some money, having a job where you're responsible and running the company, and now you're not anymore. And so it's really about, there's this process that I'm sure you've gone through as well of, hey, what's next? Where am I going to go? What really gets me excited and wakes me up in the morning? Yeah,
it's interesting because part of that is purpose. So we've ran with, in our entrepreneurial club, and we can talk about this later, but the Entrepreneurs Organization is this group of Sacramentans that Sacramento entrepreneurs, that there's about 100 of us or something like that. I was a president of the club. Arik was the president that took over after I retired from that job. But we're still in the club. He and I are still in the same forum, small group. And there's a lot of people in this club that have built significant companies and exited. And I know in talking to you and others, your job can kind of go to being like almost an investor. Oh, now that I didn't really have a lot of spare extra cash during the time I was building my company, because we're always cash strapped when we're growing the companies at some level. And then you're like, okay, now I've got to make sure I don't piss it away. I've got to do something productive with it so that I can continue to support my family.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, you get this chunk of money, and all these financial advisors are calling you and trying to convince you to give the money to them so they can trade in the stock market.
How do they hear about it when you have a big exit? It's like they come out of the woodwork.
Your phone just starts ringing.
My God, all these gigantic companies are like, oh, wait a minute, I just have my little local stockbroker guy.
So none of them were going to give me front row tickets to the Kings. So I figured, I'm going to go out and try to figure this out myself, sort of like you did. And actually, you were definitely an inspiration to me a lot. One of the things that you said that I love is, it's so much better to invest in your backyard, right? Mm-hmm. And so if I take, $100,000 and put in an investment here in Sacramento, that $100,000 is going back into the market here. It's going to people, it's going to rent, it's going to resources in our community versus, if I invest in San Francisco, that money's going to San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So that was, in fact, I've been incredibly lucky with a couple of companies that have just been, complete home runs here in Sacramento. That's been a lot of fun. But, you need to diversify and do all kinds of things. And so, that does become sort of a new skill set and job you need to learn.
So you became a professional investor of sorts, but then now we're going to talk about your startup too. So you're transitioning now, it sounds like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, from being almost like this professional investor for the last few years. I know you've read a lot of books. You've been to this massive training on how to do this. You've shared a lot of that with me, but you've done a great job doing that. But now you've got the bug and you want to do a startup again, which is like a whole different set of commitments.
Yeah. Well, I started a venture fund called Locker One Ventures. My background's in the locker industry. And so I was doing all these investments in different things, a lot of angel investments, and realized, I can add value just as an entrepreneur, but I really don't know their industry and can't help them. So I started Locker One Ventures, which was specifically focused on the locker industry. We raised a fund and just invested in companies in the locker industry. We've deployed most of the money in that fund right now. And I enjoyed that. But
by the way, how's that going? I'm a small investor in that fund. Are we doing okay?
I think we're going to do great. I mean, there's some really good investments in there.
Okay, cool.
I'm excited about it. It's been, it's a super niche venture fund. Most venture funds are investing in different, they'll pick a thesis, but our thesis was lockers and how we believe that lockers are the future and still believe that they're the future, and they are starting to get a lot of traction.
These lockers are like Amazon type lockers where people are just using lockers more today than they did, 30 years ago, people didn't use lockers as much.
Yeah, I say the term lockers lightly, but I mean, these are smart, intelligent lockers that you can store anything in. You can drop off a package, you could drop off food delivery, you can drop anything into that locker, give somebody the code, and then they can go pick it up, right? So they're smart lockers, and there's so many use cases and different ways that lockers can be used. And so we've started to invest in all types of different companies that are doing lost and found through lockers, companies that are doing product samples through lockers, people that are doing food through lockers. So all these different use cases for lockers, really trying to drive that industry forward. It's been a ton of fun, but you talk about purpose, and in EO, which we're in, there was a speaker that came out and spoke to us, Amari Tukali. I might been badgering his name a little bit. It was a really fantastic exercise and workshop he did around finding your purpose. And so, in essence, he came up. He said, "Okay, well, the formula to make it short is you sort of have a verb, an adjective, and a noun." Right. And so when I went through this process, I realized that my purpose in life is solving unsolved problems. That's what I love to do. I love to fix things. I love to solve unsolved problems.
And by the way, you will be able to tell this by the end of the conversation. Arik is brilliant, right? He's this really smart guy, but he's like a regular guy too, but he's super, super smart. But go ahead.
Thanks, Mark. I just consider myself a hard worker, and I like solving problems. And so people see that as smart because I come up with good solutions. And so, we sold our house in Sacramento, moved up here to Loomis when we sold the company, and we built a house. And so you've built a house and you've gone through that process. But for me, when we're building a house, first thing I'm like, okay, where's all this stuff documented? When we lived in Sacramento and we moved into a place and there was no documentation of, where the sprinkler heads were, where the valves were, what trees these were, where the underground electrical lines were. You call PG&E, they come out and mark the line for you, but they do it once and you don't know where it is. And so when we're building this house, I'm flying my drone up and taking pictures. I'm rolling around. I'm like, there's no way in the world I'm ever going to know that these pipes run from here to here and these pipes underground. And so I started taking pictures and tried to map it. You'd think you could just go into Google Maps and draw some lines and this thing would be solved. And sure enough, it's not. There's really no tool out there today that allows you to map out your property, to drop GPS pins, to take pictures, to identify everything.
Well, most people are not that organized. You have, right? I'm definitely not. But your product has got me very intrigued because we don't live that far from each other. You're on acreage. I mean, you have this nice house, and you have acreage, and you started from scratch, and so now you know where everything's buried, I suppose, where it's put. What are you going to use that information for?
Oh man, well I use that. I mean that app. So it started with this map. Okay, like I need this map because I know we're going to do future projects. I know things are going to break. I know there's going to be problems. So for example, there was a problem the other day. Our dog is ripping out the heads that cover our drain holes, and so then they get covered up in bark, and I don't know where the drains are. Right, so I just go in the app. I know there's a drain right here. I have a picture of it. Clean it out. Now we're screwing all those drain caps down so that the dog can't get in there. But that was really just the start. It's like, okay, I know I need this map. It's like, what do you need maps of the country for? Nothing unless you're trying to get somewhere. Unless you're driving, right? Then you're like, oh, wow, this map is great. And look at all these new things that Google Map has added. Now I can, type in a street address and see what things look like. So we've sort of done the same thing and evolved. So the first thing that we added was task management. Right. So I'm sure anybody has an irrigation system has had a problem, right? There's a leak, there's a sprinkler head that's broken, somebody runs over something. And so now we can take a picture, my wife can take a picture and send and just assign a task to me in YardPro and I'll get it done. She can assign it to our landscaper and then he'll get it done. We can give him different priorities. So we've created this task management where you take a picture, it's GPS tagged. They can open up the app and know exactly what zone it's in. We have integration with Rachio, so you can hit play and it'll run that zone right there, turn it off, fix it, put it back together.
What's the really integration with Rachio? I don't know what that means.
So Rachio is a smart controller for your property. So like Hunter and Rainbird, they all have these controllers.
For like the irrigation?
Yeah, exactly. So, the way a property is laid out, you have different zones. And so Rachio lets you turn a zone on or off.
Okay, gotcha.
So we built task management into there. We've got document management, so you can upload any plans you have and such like that. But the real thing that we're about to launch that I think is kind of the killer app for this is problem detection. So we were off on vacation out of the country and get back from our vacation, and one of our zones of 50 different bushes and trees, they're all dying. I'm like, what is going on here? Walk the zone, sure enough, there's a big leak. The zone had been cut in half. We're losing water everywhere. Luckily, we're on irrigation water instead of city water. But if you're city water, that would have been multiple $1,000 bill. And I've heard story after story of people having that. But not that. I mean, we lost thousands of dollars of plants, and it was just a nightmare. And so I said, well, there's got to be some way for me to tell when there's a leak. So I went out there and started researching all these different products, and they're pretty complicated. You got to cut them into your PVC and splice them in, and they need power and wire. And so I said, once again, there's got to be a better way to solve this. And so we have developed a smart sensor. We've got a smart leak detection sensor. We have a couple other smart sensors. They're solar powered. They have up to a 2-mile range via this low bandwidth. It's called LoRa WAN. And you just simply plug them right into your drip line, and they're monitoring your drip line. They'll let you know if you have a leak. They'll let you know if your valve is stuck on, if your valve hasn't turned on for like 7 days, maybe you've got an issue. In fact, 2 of the 5 properties that we were beta testing on had zones that were not running. And so those trees were going to die because the zones were just like there was a loose wire or something like that.
So they go into a drip line. Will they go into like PVC too, or what do they how does that work? Yeah,
so you've got a couple different types of irrigation. You have sort of hard PVC, which will run your sprinklers, and you have sort of soft, flexible stuff.
That's that's the drip line.
The drip line, exactly. So this just presses right into your drip line. It couldn't be easier. It takes about 30 seconds to install one of these. Just for drip line, we're working on a sprinkler thing, but drip lines are typically where you'll find a lot of your leaks and issues. If a sprinkler's going, you can tell, but a drip line might be
You might never see it. Yeah, you don't even notice. Yeah,
it might not be running. You don't know, so your trees are starting to die. And you're like, what's going on here? Oh, look at that. This line hasn't been running. So it's been a lot of fun. I love building things, and I built it for myself. It was one of those, how does this not exist? I'm going to build it for myself, and then start sharing it with my friends and neighbors. And in fact, we put it on the local community site. We had 200 signups within a day. So people are pretty excited about the product. I'm pretty excited about it.
Okay, so irrigation is one aspect. Is it within landscaping? You've got lighting, you've got other kinds of low voltage type stuff. Does it do anything else besides irrigation, or is it predominantly on the irrigation side?
Yeah, so it lets you map all that out.
Okay.
It doesn't, the diagnosis and the problem solving is starting with that. We have a detection device that can detect distance. So you use it in a water tank. So if you've got a water tank that has water in there, those pumps fail, and then you go turn on your water, you've got no water. Well, it's because the tank was low and you never got a notification on it.
Okay.
We start with homeowners. We're expanding now to municipalities, to multifamily housing and commercial properties, to golf courses, agriculture, so many different areas that need tools like this.
Wow. Okay, so how do you acquire a customer? Besides putting the post out on the community post.
Yeah. So, now it's about, getting the word out there and making people aware of it. Right. So, a lot of it right now is search engine marketing, paid ads and such like that. Trying to get our search engine optimization up. Trade shows has always been a successful path for us in the past. And that's one that will be continue to go down. And then once you start getting into, homeowners are really tough, right? You're broadcasting to the entire world. If you can pick a niche, right? We're selling irrigation systems to ag, or we're selling irrigation systems to golf courses. Makes that niche so much more addressable and easy to focus on, right? So we're trying to kind of pick out a couple of those different industries that we'll go after.
I was sort of wondering, are there partner channels that would lend themselves to this, that people that sell to landscapers, or people that sell to golf courses, or just the people out there that can kind of like cover an entire sector of the market?
Yeah, resellers has been over at Luxer One, which is my prior company, really the key to our success. And we had a network of resellers all over the country. And so, we're starting to work with irrigation companies, and we have a platform for them that allows them to sort of set up properties, go out and map those properties, and then hand them over to the homeowner so the homeowner can do it. So, we see them as being our resellers. There's also an opportunity for them to go out to a commercial property and map it all and put it in YardPro. A lot of them will have blueprints or things that were during the design process. They said this is how the irrigation is going to be laid out. It didn't actually end up being laid out that way.
Everything's changed somewhat as you get down into it. It changes.
Yeah. So these guys can go out and map it. They have special tools that allow them to trace the underground wires, and they know where the zones and valves are going to be. And then they put it on there. I was talking to one of the local sprinkler irrigation guys, and he's like, you don't know how much money this would save the properties. We come out, we spend, we'll have a 4-hour call. 3 hours of that are figuring out how this system works. And in an hour, the fix is a 30-minute fix. Once you figure out where the valve is, where the lines go, what zone this is on. And so, you can come out.
Yeah, it makes me, it's almost like the landscaper's dream, because you waste all this time trying to figure stuff out, especially when somebody else did it.
Yeah.
And so often that happens over the, a house. How long does a house last? 100 years. So, most people don't stay, even from a homeowner standpoint, it's like this information needs to transfer as well when you sell your house.
Oh, yeah.
Or get a new landscaper and that kind of thing, because eventually the memory is gone, even if you did know at one point.
We were talking to some of the home inspection guys and going, hey, this should almost become part of the home inspection. Anytime somebody takes over a property, the first thing you need to really understand quickly is your irrigation system, because if it breaks, if it's not running, you've just lost all your landscaping, especially out here in California. And so this really needs to be part of that homeowner handover process.
Oh, interesting. I could see like a realtor using it as a closing gift.
There you go.
So in other words, a lot of times you sell a house to somebody, and there's kind of a welcome package that you get. And if it had what's the subscription cost? It's basically software, right, or an app. So you get a subscription.
It's free for the basic plan. It's like we've got a $2.99 plan and a $5.99 a month plan. So it's very affordable. But absolutely. It'd be a great gift, and we're working on launching a service where people will go out and actually do the mapping for you if you don't have a map done already. If you don't want to do it yourself.
Interesting. So what's the vision for the company? And it sounds like it started off as a tool that because you like doing coding and figuring stuff out. It went from being something that you wanted to do, I'd say, for your own house, but now it's, oh my gosh, we could turn this into a business. But a lot of times, have you imagined like we don't imagine what it can become until later. Have you already imagined what the company can become, what it looks like? Does it get big?
I mean, I definitely have thought about that quite a bit.
Is it venture backable?
I definitely think it is. I mean, a lot of people want to invest in it. I want to keep this thing as small and simple as possible. My goal, I'm not trying to put in 80-hour weeks again. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to build a big company with a whole bunch of employees and managing that. I mean, with the tools that are out there now, with outsourcing, with AI, with the ease of software development, I mean, what used to be a 100-person company is something you can do with 5 or 10 people now, I believe. Okay. So we've kept this, it's really just me for right now. I mean, I've built the software. It's me and my wife. My wife does all the marketing. She's done an incredible job getting the word out there and really talented on that side, which I think, you've got to have marketing and sales, and then you need product development. Those are the two different pieces. I'm much more on the product development side, the operations side. So I've built all that. She's making it look pretty. We work with outsourced designers and some outsourced developers to help build some of it. But the goal is to keep this thing as small and as nimble and as easy to run as possible. I'm not trying to build another Luxer one these days. I don't know if I've got that in me, but I definitely have another business in me, just not at that level.
That's exciting. So what's been the biggest challenge so far in building this?
Yeah, the biggest challenge so far is getting the word out, right? I mean, it's definitely, and that's not necessarily my skill set. I'm definitely more on the operations side, right? So marketing, sales have definitely been challenging. Anytime you're launching a new product and creating a new category, I mean, this is a new category, right? Property mapping is not something that exists. So you've got to educate people on this product, why they want it, what's helpful for what problem it's going to solve for them, and how do you get that in front of people, because they're just getting inundated with so much stuff. And these days it's really expensive. Like search engine marketing is so expensive for the ROI, right? When you're trying to sell a $3 or $6 a month product and it's costing you $150 to acquire a customer, that's not going to work, and that's not scalable. So in the beginning, while you're trying to figure it out, that's good, but you've got to come up with a techniques and strategies that are become effective. And that's why we're looking at pivoting towards some of the more commercial accounts where you can charge more, and you can target those customers more effectively than just kind of casting a big
that's more like a B2B sale, right, versus direct to consumer, where digital, whatever, Facebook ads and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So on YardPro, it's $2.99 a month or $5.99 a month. You're building out new features, but there's also a freemium. Do you have a website where they can go, just go to the App Store and download a freemium model, or download it for free? Yeah,
so it's for free in the App Store and the Google Play Store.
Okay.
You can also go to our website, yardpro.com. And in fact, the whole tool is web-based, so you can do it on the web and through a computer on your screen. If you've got maps of your yard, you can just go and on your computer you can draw everything and draw pins, or you can download the app, which is really helpful when you're out there in the field. You turn on a GPS, it's right here. You're able to drop a pin. So it's got all those different modes into that. Is
there a maximum number of sprinkler heads that it will keep track of?
Yeah, those are different model.
Scott, how many sprinkler heads do we have at Haneyville? I'm testing him now because so we, we've talked about my property a few times together, and we've got a lot of sprinkler heads, a lot of irrigation and stuff like that coming out of our pond. I'm kind of curious: are we a potential candidate? Could we use it at Haneyville? You think it would work for us?
Oh, it'd be dead on for you guys. You definitely need it. I mean, you've got different layers, right? So you can do your drainage, and you can do your irrigation, and you can do your trees, right? I mean, one of the cool things is we start planting all these fruit trees, and you're like, oh, this orange tree is fantastic. What kind of orange tree is this? I don't know. There was, it's just an orange tree. So now every time we plant the tree, we'll take a picture of the label that's on there. You know exactly when you planted it, what the variety is, so if you really like that one, you can go out and buy it again. So really great for marking your trees, your sprinkler heads. On our estate plan, it's called, it's the $5.99 a month. That it's unlimited. You can add as many as you want, as many collaborators, so you can have different landscapers and different electricians and maybe you've got somebody, a tree service or something like that, right? So you can add all those collaborators, assign them tasks. Hey, we need this tree trimmed, and this one trimmed. And then when they do it, they mark it complete. And so now that it's been done and you have a history. There's a really cool thing as well, which is recurring tasks. So for example, like filters you need to clean on a quarterly basis. We change the filters in our house on our air conditioning every 6 months.
You can add that on it. Okay.
Yeah, so you add that in there. Your water filters, right? Those are every year. I never get those. I always forgot to do that stuff. So you're able to add all these maintenance tasks, which was another feature I needed. I need to change my oil.
How many houses will it do on one app? Like we have multiple landscape. We have a bunch of rentals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we have maintenance crew that goes out and has to deal with all that stuff. I don't even know what we use now, Asana or something like that to track, all the different little tasks.
Oh yeah, if you're doing you can do all the task management through it. Yeah. You got to give it a try.
We got to take a look at this
and set them up as recurring too, right? Like every 6 months, I want you to go out there and clean out the gutters or something. Like
wash my car, wash the Nova.
Yeah. We want to clean the gutters every fall, right? At the end of fall, we need gutters cleaned. So yeah, you'll put that in there as a recurring task. Just assigns it to them, and they code it properly, and they see it all. It's a really powerful tool. I built it for myself because I needed all this. I mean, even the task management, I tried like 3 or 4 different tools to just like, how am I going to remember that I need to, when you've got a large property, there's so much maintenance. It's a full-time job just maintaining the maintenance logs on those things.
My God, trust me. And for us, it's like getting people to work together because we've got like 3 maintenance guys, and then Scott oversees them, who helps me with the podcast and stuff. It's a lot because there's projects and then there's maintenance. So we're going to get that project done. That's easier than all the little tasky stuff that you got to do in the summer, but you don't got to do it in the winter as much, stuff like that. Yeah,
and then there's actually a comment feature on it too, right? So they might go and clean the gutters, and they're going to finish that task, and they realize that something's broken there and you need to order a part. Or they're like, hey, you need to have the gutter guy come out and replace this gutter. So they'll put a comment in there saying, I can't complete this task, Mark, because the gutter needs to be replaced. Wow. And so then you'll get an alert saying, hey, we need to hire this person or go buy this part, and you can buy it, and then when it comes in, add another comment on there.
I need to get you. Workflow. So Ashley, my daughter, who obviously has been the president of the Realtors Association. So that's one avenue there. And then my daughter-in-law, Brittany, who I think you also know, she's a landscape design person. So we got to get her excited about it and get her feedback as you develop the product and stuff. And then maybe she can help market it for you too. That's some small scale. Anyway, that's really cool. I'm really excited for you that you found something that's fun, that you and your wife. How is it working with Jessica? Is that you and your wife working together arm in arm? How's that going?
I'm always when people tell me that their wife is their business partner, it's always surprising to me and challenging, right? It's definitely a skill set she has. I've got my skill set. And so we've tried to create sort of a very clear divide.
Stacy and I would kill each other if we were working together. There's no way we could do it.
We've had our ups and downs. We'll see how long this lasts. But, right now in that early stage, she's been fantastic and she's really good at this stuff. So it's been fun working with her.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Entrepreneurs Organization, because I think that's... I talk about it a lot on the show, but I would say it comes up 3 or 4 times a year on the show at least. But I always like to make sure to dive into it a little deeper, especially with you, because you are somebody who is, I think, helped transform EO Sacramento. You moved here from the Bay Area, I think, 10 plus years ago, and you were in EO out there. You came here with interesting ideas and a lot of energy on how to, make EO better. And then we've had this series of presidents, and it's all been our buddies, Jeff Smith, and then Lance Loveday, and then me, and then you, and then Todd Bullenbach, and then Scott Monday, and now it's Alex Wicks. So we got our first female president. But you oversaw a lot of the growth, right? I feel like I came in at a time when we had a little bit of a decline. We started upticking a little bit and stabilizing, and then you and Todd really grew the thing. That's what it feels like to me. And I need to make a confession too publicly is I was the president for 2 years. I did some of the work for about 6 months. The rest of the time, Arik, who was the elect, did the work for like the next year and a half, plus 2 more years. So you really were the organizational backbone through my presidency. So thank you for that. And then you went on to lead and grow the organization. So you do have this remarkable ability to get stuff done. And in EO's case, I think really grow it as well. So congratulations on that. So maybe talk to me about that progress of EO, what you've seen then, and then what you see as the vision for EO today even.
Yeah, so, I'm kind of if you give me a process and give me a tool, like I can run with it and execute on. I'm really good at that. And so one of the tools that transformed my company, Luxer would not have been what it was if it wasn't for EOS, right? And it's based on a book called Traction and
Entrepreneurial Operating System,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So it's based on a book called Traction by Gino Wickman. He's written a bunch of different books, but EOS was like a lifesaver. I mean, our company was growing like crazy. I had no idea how to run this thing. It's just like, here's how you run a company. I was like, this is amazing. And then, we implemented EOS. We did a great job with it. Probably 3-4 years in, we realized that the strategy piece of EOS was not as robust as we like. And so I read a book called 3HAG, and it's a 3-year highly achievable goal. And so that combined with EOS, I think, has sort of been the formula for our success. So when I was fortunate enough to take over EO and working with you when you were president, I think is when we started implementing level 10 meetings and running EOS. And then when I came in, I said, well, the challenge in EO, you get a new president every year. You served 2 years. I did 2 years. Todd did 2 years, but it's supposed to be 1 year.
We asked for 1 and got 2. Yeah.
But imagine if your company, you had a different president or a different CEO running your company every year. That's really hard, right? And so, but if that was going to be your company, the key would be to have a 3-year or 5-year plan that's almost detailed out to what we're going to do every year.
That way there's an easier transition too.
And if you can get alignment and say, okay, well, here's where we're going. Next CEO, I've got this playbook. Here's, we've got rocks that are aligned to this. We have tasks that are aligned to this. We have scorecard metrics that are aligned to this, and this is where we're going. So that's what we did. We built the 3HAG for EO Sacramento. I don't remember. 3HAG is kind of consists of, we call them mountains. It's not the technical term, but it was like 4 or 5 different mountains that we wanted to have, like world-class events, a line out the door, a world-class forum experience. There was like 4 or 5 of those different mountains that were aligned with everybody. And so then they had rocks and they had scorecard metrics that were aligned to those different tasks. And you and I had amazing alignment. Todd and I had amazing alignment of that. And we've been able to execute on that and grow the chapter. I mean, boy, when you took over, we were probably in, 60, 50 number.
I think we were like 40 something because we had one forum drop out, and then I went and sold them to come back in. We got us back up to 50. We lost 10 guys, and I went and somehow talked them into coming back in. And then from there, we just started. We had some like incremental growth. I think when you took over, how big were we? 60, 65?
Maybe I started. Yeah, I mean, I know last year I think when Todd left, it was like 120 was the number or something like that, right? So we've had, and we've gotten the word out in the community. I think there's a lot more excitement around. We've got fantastic, some of the best entrepreneurs in Sacramento are all part of EO right now. Our accelerator, which is, I think we're up to like almost 50 people in the accelerator group right now. So, I mean, you love entrepreneurship. I love entrepreneurship. It's so much fun seeing other people succeed and rooting for them, and especially it all being in our backyard and seeing a lot of wins. To me, that's a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed that organization. It's done so much for me, and the least I could do is kind of give back and share some of my tools and techniques and things that have been successful for me in business, bring those over to EO. They've been successful there. Besides
the leadership, and maybe I should have even started with this. So what do you think if you were given a pitch to a prospective member, what do people get out of being in EO? We talked about what are we doing as the managers of EO at level or the leadership, but what does the average person get out of EO, and how do they maximize their experience?
Yeah, I mean, entrepreneurship is lonely. I mean, I don't think people realize how difficult and lonely it is to be running a company, be the CEO. what you're dealing with. You're kind of trying to hide all that stress and from the company, from the people. You're out there rah, this is amazing. Right. We're the best. We're kicking butt. On the back end, you're like, man, we're running out of money. I don't know what to do with this thing. I got people coming at me from every different angle. The stress is incredible.
Yeah,
right?
Do I go home and talk to my wife? No, I don't need to stress her out.
Yeah, I don't want to stress her out. Right. I can't talk to my friends because they've got a 9 to 5. My problems. They think I'm really successful, and so my problems are different problems in there. So. I call it AA for entrepreneurs, right? It's just a place where you can go and talk to other people, and every single one of them starts nodding their head and go, yeah, that's me. That's exactly. Oh, I've been through that problem. Oh, here's what we did, right? And so it's this framework of experience sharing too. So I think they've got their model so dialed in where, typically I come to you and say, Mark, here's my problem. You're like, oh, Arik, here's what you need to do. Do this, blah, 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 blah. You give advice, right? Whereas EO is much more around, well, here's what I did. Here's my, sorry, I've never been through that before, but Joe has. You should go talk to him. Mm-hmm. And then Joe will just share his story. And it's those stories from different industries, from different perspectives, different stage in the business that you're able to hear, hundreds and hundreds of stories. And then, you're looking at launching a new product or you're dealing with some issue and you're like, oh man, I think Mark mentioned something like that 3 months ago in our meeting. Let me reach out to Mark. And Mark's like, oh yeah, I did that. And here's a person to call. So especially in a smaller community like Sacramento too. I mean, we are so networked and dialed in now that, we're one phone call away from almost anybody in town or somebody who's dealt with something like that.
Yeah.
Which just that network alone is incredibly powerful.
It is. And there's a lot of, to add to that, there's a lot of trust in EO, and meaning we trust one another. We become more than just people talking about business. We're talking about like how to win in life, how to be happier, and how to be more healthy. And so there's kind of an expectation that you be open and honest and share the kinds of things that maybe you wouldn't normally share with the average person, so that you become more vulnerable, and that's how the trust is built. And so there's really an expectation to do that when you come in the door. And so once one person starts confiding in his friends or in her friends, the other people begin doing that, and there's this trust that builds, which is really can be really impactful, and it's really unique. But the part of EO that I really love is being around entrepreneurs that are driven is really fun for me. That's why I do what I do. But being around really successful entrepreneurs that are still driven is really interesting. So thinking about people like in our form, like you've built companies and sold companies. We have other people that have built, big software companies and sold them. People that have built companies that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. We got one guy owns a railroad and a big energy company. And these guys are still extremely driven. And for me, that drive is almost infectious. I feel like it motivates and inspires me to kind of say, what am I doing? If these guys are doing all this, what am I doing? And so for me, being around people with that kind of drive, I think is healthy for me at my stage of my life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm part of this other group, and there was an author that was talking about his book, and there is a real DNA to entrepreneurship, right? There's some people that are entrepreneurs and there's some people that aren't. And so I think and EO has been this fantastic group where you can look and go, wow, yeah, these people have a lot of the same traits. And so there really is that DNA to an entrepreneur. I think maybe you can grow that DNA, which, DNA generally is not something you can create. But either sometimes you get the bug, you didn't realize you had it, and then you start a business and you have it. And, we are all wired slightly different than other people. And it's the reason, people will go out and sell a company for hundreds of millions of dollars, and they could go retire and live on their yacht and fly around. But instead they're out there, up at 5 a.m, working their butt off, starting another company, because it's what they enjoy doing. It's what they love doing. It's what sort of consumed them. So, yeah.
And, I have a lot of taglines, and one of the things I say is that entrepreneurs are the heroes of the American economy. They take the risks, they make the sacrifices, they create all kinds of opportunity, and they figure out a way to make the world a better place. that to me is that's what's built America. And that's one of the things I love about entrepreneurship is it feels like if you're helping an entrepreneur, it's like you're doing the right thing for America, for society. And I think that that's what I appreciate so much about entrepreneurship is being around people that are doing the right things for the right reasons. So when you think about entrepreneurship, what do you love about it for, for society?
From a societal perspective, it is really, really rewarding to have your own company and to be putting food on people's plates, on their tables, to be helping their families, seeing them getting, married and meeting each other at work, and there's weddings and there's the babies that are being born, and it's such a multiplying effect, right? Mm-hmm. One person can come up with an idea and then they're employing hundreds and hundreds of people, right? And it just goes down through supply chain. So even though you might only have 20 employees, you're buying product from somebody and that's growing. So it really is, the fuel of our economy is business, right? And so, every big business started as a small business and it just kind of grew to that. And there's different stages of businesses. I really found that I enjoy the early stage. I like creating stuff. I like getting it going. I like moving it to become a decent sized business. And then there's people who are great at scaling that and taking that to the next level and then to the level beyond that. But yeah, entrepreneurship absolutely makes such a huge impact in society. And, there's nothing more, the most rewarding thing to me is I'll tell somebody, they'll ask, I've got this locker company. We put lockers in apartment buildings, or Home Depot is called Luxer One. They're like, oh yeah, that's in my building. I use that. Or, oh, that's great. I love that product. So when you mention your product to people and it's affected people's lives and they're using it and it makes their lives better, that to me has always been the most fun thing about being an entrepreneur.
Well, you mentioned like creating opportunity for people to have a better life, and one of the things that springs out of a successful entrepreneur is sometimes some of the early employees of those companies, they get inspired to do it on their own. I know you've helped other entrepreneurs that were employees of yours launch businesses, and now they're successful entrepreneurs. They're sort of they're following in your footsteps. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, that's mentorship, right? Mentorship is incredibly rewarding. I remember when I started my company, I was working for a small company. It was a, 20, 30 person company. And I went to the CEO and said, I want to go out on my own and start this company. And she was so supportive. I stayed on for 6 months while I was kind of building the business and tweaking it and growing it. And her giving me that opportunity, I've tried to give that to anybody in my company who really wants to go out and do it and go and try their own business. I think my mentality when I started my business was always, I need a backup plan. Like, if this thing fails, where am I going to go, right? Am I going to come back? And I knew the door was always open at the company that I had left, right? And so same thing here in my companies, you go out and try something. If it doesn't work, come on back. We'd love to have you. Those are, and we try to foster entrepreneurship. One of the core values at Luxer One is, it's around ownership and acting like you own the company, right? And we want people who act like they own the company, who are entrepreneurs within the company, and when they see a problem, they go out and they solve it like an entrepreneur would. And that's what's driven our company so fast and so hard to keep growing, because it's not just like, oh, tell me what to do. It's like, no, be an entrepreneur, go out and fix it, right? Anybody can do this stuff. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Anything I didn't ask you that we need to cover?
No, I don't know. I really appreciate you having me on the show. It's always fun to come here and talk shop with you. And I appreciate your mentorship and so much that you've shared with me and watching your journey and trying to follow in some of your footsteps. So thanks for everything you do.
Look at my mistakes and try not to make them.
That's half of, you learn so much more from your mistakes than you do from your successes.
I love it. Thanks for coming on the show, Arik.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
You bet.
Thanks for watching today's show. My goal for every episode is that you find a takeaway, something tangible you can use in your business today. And if you have a comment about a favorite takeaway, feel free to put it in the box below. And if you have a topic that you'd like me to bring up on the show, don't forget to let me know. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about entrepreneurship. Because at Haney Biz, we are always by your side.